Hello friend, my name is Tobel and welcome back to more Microsoft Flight Simulator Career Mode with On-Air Company Manager. It is cold and dark right now in our TBM 930 at Snohomish County. It is in the middle of the night and we've actually just picked up a passenger transport mission. This is the first medical mission, medical job that I've actually picked up. So we have a medical job to transport a couple of surgeons here, the surgeon specialist from Snohomish County down to KMEV, which is down here just south of Reno and Carson City, Minden Tahoe Airport. So could be actually a really beautiful flight. At night, we're going to pass down through Seattle. We might also pass over Portland because I have kind of made a little bit of an adjustment to our in-flight flight plan. I've actually added a waypoint just to fly over the town of Portland. So it's going to be nighttime. These guys aren't in any kind of a rush. We're just going to go ahead and get on our way. So first things first, I will go ahead and do my normal startup procedures. I don't know if I'm going to go through every single thing. I think a lot of you have already seen this whole startup procedure before, but you know what? It's always fun, isn't it? Turn on the crash bar, turn on our electricity, and blindly grope for the button up here to give us some light in the cockpit. For whatever reason, all of these options here don't give us any kind of like lighting help that I've seen. You actually really have to wait. What was that little one right here? Does this just turn on? This was kind of epic. Did that turn on or off? Oh, it did. What are you? Are you like the magic school bus of lights? All I had to do was rotate you a tiny bit and that little light came on. I think that actually helps with the flight control console. Anyways, let's go ahead and do our engine start. No one is around the prop. I've checked that. They're standing back. They know not to trust us too much. Ignition is set to auto. Let's do aux boost pump. Auto fuel select. AP on. We're on the left tank. Let's go ahead and test to the right tank.
And shut down the engines.
Cool. Auto selector is good. Probably should have turned the inertial SEP on beforehand, but that's okay. We're fine. We're fine. NG is set. Come up a notch to low idle. Isn't our barometer like 3002 here? That's creepy. That guy's doing some Slender Man crap off in the distance. I'm not a fan, dude. Not a fan whatsoever. We are in the southern part of the runway, so hopefully we're taking off to the north today. I really don't want to taxi 1,000 miles. I cheated a little bit and specifically selected, oops, I should probably not chat, and in fact go up and then over to flight idle. There we go. But yeah, I try to cheat to try to get to a runway or a parking spot that's really close to our takeoff runway. So we'll see if that works out today. Real quick, let's check the weather. Our current weather is pretty good actually around us right now. We should have live weather. You know what? I think my live weather is bugged again. I double checked around Seattle and I think it has light clouds. So I'm actually going to go ahead and replicate that with just the few clouds option.
The simulator went forward.
And I'll go ahead and reconnect to my on-air company manager. It always freaks out a little bit when you turn this option on. This is what it should be, I think. It's just like a couple clouds here and there. Not really heavy precipitation or anything like that. So we should be okay. Inertial SEP. Bleed is off. Forgot about you. Bleed. All set. And double checking that our flight plan has been loaded. So as you can see, we've got waypoint D0 just out of, that's our kind of our departure waypoint. And we have a waypoint just over Portland, Oregon, because I kind of want to see how it looks at night. I think that'll be a really fun thing to look at. So we'll give that a shot. I'm going to go ahead and go over to our clearance to get our clearance from Clarence, and we'll be taxiing to our departure runway. Hey, runway 34 left. Awesome. That's the runway that's just over there, so we don't have to taxi 1,000 miles away. Okay, taxi clearance is good. I'm gonna go ahead and now we're gonna use our pushback. I don't want to run into this building here and then someone's gonna yell at me because I crashed the plane again. I mean, you know, for the first time ever. That looks like a bit of a storm cloud. Dark and spoopy. You know, I am a geography major and I always forget. Look, I had one weather class for my geography major. One weather class. It was at 8 a.m. I never really went to Meteorology 101. And it's an honest shame that I missed out, because all I wanted to do was identify all the clouds just by looking at them. We're going to go with, that's a cumulus of some sort. I think cumulus is the ones that are like the fluffy. And then the prefix is like how tall it is, right? Strato, alto. I think those are the two. Strato, nimbo, or cumulo. Gosh, I suck at clouds. You know what? The coolest weather term you're ever going to hear is, what are you doing? Is derecho. Derecho is the best. Why are you guys wearing your sunglasses at night? Stop it. Are you twins? That's so creepy. She's just staring at us with her sunglassed eyes. And then there's the Slenderman over there in the distance. This is a creepy airport. Get me out of here, Boeing. I don't know what you're doing over here. All right, that's good enough. We'll go ahead and end our pushback. But yeah, derecho. A massive storm front that stretches across many, many state miles. Super fun to have. All right, let's go ahead and spin up the engine a bit. And we are going to kind of do an awkward bit of a left turnaround, because I don't want to turn through the building. We'll pretend she moved away a lot faster than she did. I like what the heck? I was about to say, I really like flying out of Snohomish County because apparently Spirit Airlines goes right through buildings. Beautiful. It must be a new a secret model. They can't see the cockpit. They've got the cockpit safely secured inside of the hangar. So like I said before, this should be a relatively short flight. We're just going to go up and down because we're coming up over Seattle. I do want to see what Seattle and Portland look like at night. The night flights in this game are really, really gorgeous. You can still like avoid seeing all the really funky, monoliths in the distance. So that's nice. We'll try to avoid any Seattle monoliths that might jump up at us. But yeah, this is the first time I've done a flight at with the passengers for medical transport. Now this flight is worth $100,000. So these medical transportation missions are really, really nice. So I'm excited to be flying this mission. We have 5 aircraft, by the way, that are rented right now for our airline. So we definitely need to end the rentals soon, because we're just wasting money at this point. I do believe in the next episode, I'm going to go ahead and buy our first aircraft. So I'm looking at either our glorious TBM or actually purchasing a King Air if I can find it for cheap. I don't think I'll be able to find a cheap King Air though. So we could afford, for sure, we can afford a new TBM 930. So that could be kind of fun. Although I don't really know if the wear and tear of On-Air Company Manager translates directly over into Microsoft Flight Simulator. I guess I'd have to double check on that. Here is runway 34 left. As we doth approach, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our ground control to Major Tom. Hello, ground. How you doing? Apparently, I missed everything. Sorry, not ground. Tower. Tower control to Major Tom.
Tower Odin 012 at runway 34 left, ready for takeoff IFR to Kilo Mike Echo Victor. Odin 012 cleared for takeoff runway 34 left.
Cleared for takeoff runway 34 left. Thanks, control.
For takeoff runway 34.
You're my hero. Hey, real quick, oh God. I really do need to keep this on at all times. Let's really quickly set our presets. I forgot to do that. Yeah, I'm all over the place. FMS is now set as our primary nav. Flight control, we're going to set this climb speed for 150. Hey, one cool little feature that I stumbled across recently. In the PFD, you can actually set these speed bugs here. So I think this is our rotate speed. We can show our rotate. I think this is V1. This is V2. So I believe you should be pulling back at V1 and off the ground at V2. I don't really know what these mean though. VAP might be our minimum speed with full flaps. So I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I really want to turn that one on at the moment. We also have some minimums that you could set. So if there are some normal minimums that you absolutely have to avoid, like I think in general, 500 feet is the maximum altitude or the minimum altitude you have to maintain when you're around a city. Is that true, my pilot friends? I have no clue, to be honest with you. I thought I came across that relatively recently. Okay, altitude select. We cannot go to negative 1,000 feet. So let's make sure we're in the positive, please. Thank you so much. Also, I think by going through our current altitude, it turned off our FLC. So I have to reset that. I also don't want that to be at 0 because I'm pretty sure that means that, hey, we can climb at a speed of 0, which means it'll put us in a freaking vertical, basically vertical takeoff. We don't want that. We can't do VTOL. Vertical takeoff landing? Vertical takeoff system? What does VTOL mean? Why can't I think about that? Vertical takeoff and landing? Oh, I'm thinking of something different. I meant the, JTOL or something. The jet assisted takeoff. That's what like the C-130 for the Blue Angels has or something. Anyways, let's take off a plane. I'm distracted by shiny things tonight, obviously. JTOL? Jet assisted takeoff. JATO. Sure. That sounds right. We should see our new speed bug here. Yep, sure enough. There's R and there's X, which I'm guessing is V1 and V2 rotate. Good God. We're all over the place. Pull back a little bit on the power. Pull back on the stick. And a little bit harder, please. Thank you so much. Let's get off the ground for a minute.
Airborne time logged.
Positive rate of climb, gear up, and flaps can be retracted. We do have to do a pretty long 180 in order to get over to our target. You know, I've been actually watching a lot of YouTube videos lately, going down the rabbit hole of YouTube. And it starts with watching VATSIM. And I think it's the VATSIM channel. There's a lot of channels out there that I'm sure that do this, but VATSIM is one of the channels, I think. I could get the channel name wrong, so my apologies. But what this is a channel that takes incidents, basically flying incidents, and it overlays them with both ATC communication as well as radar information. So you can kind of see how everything happened as it plays out. So you'll hear live radio traffic between the aircraft and ground controllers, and it'll give you a visual representation of where everything is. And he actually did, he covered, like, you know, Sully Sullenberger's landing in the Hudson, and just different sorts of cool stuff like that. But I went down the YouTube rabbit hole because I was looking up, like, you know, basically just tips and lessons learned from accidents. One accident that I came across was a pilot who took off basically in a small aircraft, and it kind of like what I've been doing. He pulled up the gear as soon as he was off the ground, like 5 feet, he was pulling up the gear. And very quickly after his takeoff, his engine completely died out. And he basically, you know, went kind of nose neutral for a second. The engine came back on. So he's like, well, I was going to land, but I'm okay now. And sure enough, the engine died out again, and he stalled and crashed the aircraft. And basically the, oh God, what's the thing? Safety board? NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board? That could be right. Their investigation basically said that the fact that he pulled his gear up was kind of a mental cause, or it didn't basically help. It encouraged him to try to fly the aircraft out of the problem instead of what he should have done, which was to immediately cut power and land, because he had plenty of runway left to land. So interesting stuff like that. So I'm basically trying to keep my gear down. Long story short, I'm trying to keep my gear down for a little bit longer, just in case, I don't know, just to be a little bit more appropriate with safety and all that jazz. Hey, at the same time, you never know. I might hit the lottery tomorrow, and I might be able to afford my own private Cirrus, what is it, CR22? Or a lovely TBM 9, what is it, 70 now? I don't know what version they're at. Maybe there's the same version as an NVIDIA GTX. I can get myself a TBM 3070, top of the line. Let's go ahead and switch over to Autopilot. Yaw dampener is on, and it's already got the FLC and the nav hold. So it's just going to pick up the fact that I overshot a little bit, but we should be okay. Double checking everything over here. Torque setting is okay. I've had to pull back on the power a couple times. No big deal. Yeah, sure, 16,000 feet sounds like a blast, my friend. But yeah, you know, I might win the lottery one day, so I might actually get into flying. You never know. So trying to keep those bad habits away are good, right? The more I fly, the more I develop my own bad habits, which I've got tons, right? There's only so much you're going to be doing in a simulator versus what you can do in an actual aircraft. But having the basics down, making sure that I'm, you know, not doing the wrong thing all the time would be relatively helpful. Let's turn off that overhead panel light there. Hey, cool. Nice and pretty. Can we adjust the overall lighting to be like a little bit more dim? Ooh, mood lighting. Hey, this looks really cool. We are in, what is this, southern Everett? Does Everett have a south? Northern Seattle. We'll call it Northern Seattle. A couple of clouds here and there. Not really too shabby whatsoever. Let's go ahead and go to the map mode. Pull back the engine just a notch. So weather says, let's zoom out a wee bit. We're getting lots of pixels. So yeah, the broken clowns, obviously, clowns. Broken clowns. Broken clowns at 10,000 feet. Hey, I hit 10,000 feet. That means I turn off my lights. I remembered. This is a good day for me to remember my lights to get turned off. A little bit of precipitation here and there, but primarily the precipitation layer is already underneath us. So we shouldn't experience too many problems right there. It's -6 degrees outside. But if there's no moisture in the air, we may not have much of an icing problem. So we'll keep an eye on the icing situation. Seattle is coming up over our nose. Let's go ahead and go to the third person. I normally don't like to go in third person too much. Oh, that looks so cool. Guys, look at that sprawl. Good job, Seattle. Way to sprawl. You can sprawl like nobody's business. Oh, that's gorgeous. What a great view. I might start doing more night flights. Who's that? I have a friend over here on the left. He's gone. He disappeared into a cloud, never to be seen from or heard from again. Also, look at this amazing trim on this rental right now. I love these different liveries you can pull off of the Nexus Mods website. Really, really slick. Really digging it. Yeah, it looks absolutely gorgeous out here. Look at that beautiful city skyline. I wonder if you can see any of the weird stuff going on. So we're actually over downtown Seattle just about now. Space Needle off to our right. Of course, we can't see it because it's a little tiny needle. Do the models still look really weird? Let's look at the stadium down there. Yeah, it looks a little bit funky. Wow, yeah. That looks awful. Do not look directly into the creepy Stadium of Doom. What kind of sports teams are here? Look, my knowledge of sports ball is not really that impressive, guys. I literally have a YouTube about flying a plane. How much do you think I'm going to know about sports? Is it the Seattle Mariners still? Is that some old school info? What's the oldest Seattle team that I know? I think the Mariners might be it. We've got the, is that the football stadium right next to the baseball stadium? Are they still the Seahawks? I don't know, guys. Look, there's only one sport that matters, okay? And that's hockey. And if you don't agree with me, I respect you. You're wrong, but I respect you. That's what happens when you grow up in Detroit, okay? That's hockey, and there's hockey. There's Boeing King County International below us, and then right across the way is Seattle Tacoma International. Why are these so close? Come to think about it, is this a military base or anything? It says it's an international airport, but it's only got 2 runways. Actually one runway, really. This must be servicing GA. That's actually kind of interesting. I'd like to know why. Boeing King County International. Oh, is this another Boeing-related airport? Specifically for Boeing? Do we have some major warehouses here or production facilities for Boeing? I have no idea. It looks really good, though. I like, the more you zoom out and don't focus, the better off the nighttime sprawl looks. Really, really cool. Able to see pretty much everything from like a billion miles out. So Portland is going to be on our way down here, of course. Oh yeah, off to the right we have our the San Juan Islands, right? Our old airport, which was Orcas Eye, is I think at the mouth of the... It's like an island that kind of curves around in a U shape. Maybe it's somewhere up that way. It's actually pretty far away from Seattle, come to think about it. Oh, that's such a cool view. Also, you can see an aircraft passing below us. I think it's pretty busy tonight over at Seattle Tacoma. Last time I checked on the map, there were a lot of either players or flights. I don't know if it's AI flights or not. That's so cool. What a great view. We should fly at night more often. That looks awesome. Super, super awesome. Do we have a moon tonight? Beautiful, almost full moon. Hello, Seattle Tacoma. How you doing tonight? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. We're overflying you. Whoops. A little bit over torqued here, as is my norm. There we go. Someone mentioned, I think the torque should go down as you increase altitude, not up. So they haven't quite gotten the balance right yet. Oh yeah, I meant to mention that there was a patch today released for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I don't have the notes right in front of me. I believe there were some major installation issues that some people had experienced or were still experiencing. So the patch should clear those up. You may have to reinstall for that. I don't know if they fixed the weather bug. I don't think they fixed the weather bug issue yet. And I don't know if they've gotten to any balance issues of aircraft. But if you have had problems with install, this might be something for you. Get a bit of a warning here for cabin pressure. That tends to happen, especially whenever I do a pretty steep climb in the TBM. You'll get a bit of a difference in PSI difference here between the cabin pressure and the outside air temperature. The outside air pressure. That should normally bleed out over time. So I'm sure there's an actual real life requirement for the pressure thing, like don't climb so fast. We're climbing at 1,700 feet per minute. I don't know if that's considered to be fast or slow, but end the game, really no problems there. Are we going to have another dawn flight? Ooh, this is exciting. I can never tell what time it is local. How can I tell? UTC is 8:21. So wouldn't we be... This is so confusing. UTC. Is this local time? I thought UTC was another way to say, this is the university... No, this is not what I'm looking for. This is the Coordinated Universal Time. This is the primary... Yeah, this is the primary thing. I thought I was... Oh, maybe it's going off my offset? But yeah, we should be basically -8 off of the UTC. So UTC -8 should be basically midnight. Midnight to 02200. That didn't make sense. 022. In theory, should be the time. So I'm wondering if the game just gets a little bit confused with all the different things I've got set. I think in On-Air Company Manager, I don't know if I can change my settings right now. We have a -10. Oh, that's probably it. A -10 offset. This is so weird. 310, got it. So it's -10 offset. So who knows? Look, we're gonna have a dawn sunrise, and I'm excited with that. All right, we get some beautiful night views, some city views here. We are departing the Metro Seattle area, or not yet? Probably not for a little minute. What a sprawl! What a huge sprawl, though. Okay, friends, coming up on 31,000 feet, so we have achieved our cruising altitude. Holy crap. That is a rather tall mountain. How tall is Mount St. Helens? You know what? It's a quick Google search away. This is what I'm here for. We are here to look up the most obscure information that you're never going to know unless you're in Buffalo Wild Wings or something. And you can kind of dump this on somebody. Elevation is only 8,300 feet. So apparently not as tall as it seems, as we are sitting up here at 31,000. Let's go ahead and speed or pull our speed back just a bit. Back to 55 or so gallons per hour. Since we have achieved our cruising altitude. Hey, at this altitude, wouldn't you have a direct permanent oxygen source? Like, I've seen this before in smaller GA aircraft. A lot of pilots that are flying really high up will have kind of like a dedicated airline running directly into their nose. Is that going to be a thing that we would have in the TBM as well? It's not the full emergency mask. It's basically just a permanent, I think, pure oxygen line. Is it pure oxygen? Isn't that dangerous? You know, the whole don't do anything, don't think about fire when there's pure oxygen in the cabin. Would think that might be a little bit dangerous. Still getting a message about cabin pressure, although we were climbing the entire time. So hopefully soon that should go ahead and equalize out. But we are, let's see, we're only 18 minutes away from our first waypoint. This is not the actual end of the flight, by the way. 18 minutes away is only to our first nav point. So we're going to go over, I don't know what we're going over. Let's take a look. Flight plan. We are going to, survey says, DO. I don't even know where we're going over right now. I think it's going over DO. Then it's going to go over to Portland. So we'll be over Portland in a little while. I wish it would tell you, like, an overall type of, like, an overall distance remaining. We're 88 miles away from Portland. apparently. But it would be kind of cool if we were able to see like what our total trip time was. I think in order to get the total trip distance, we have to read out the distances here and in each segment of our flight plan. So we're 226 miles away from Minden, Tahoe, 75 to past after Oregon, 138 to Oregon, or sorry, to Portland itself. So not quite close yet, but it should be a pretty chill flight. Not going to be able to see the mountains too well, so it won't be exactly a mountain scenic tour tonight, but it will be little spots of land as you can see little islands of civilization out in the sea of darkness. Ooh, look at that. Poetry at 31,000 feet. Oh my gosh, have I been getting Mount St. Helens wrong this entire time? I think I have been. I think I've been calling Mount Rainier Mount St. Helens this entire time. Wow. Geography major, huh? Let's learn a little bit about Mount Rainier, my friends, for that inevitable and very, very vital information for your, you could tell it at a party or something like that. Hello? Hello? Whoa, 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 whoa. We are losing oil pressure hardcore. We've lost all forward momentum, or all forward power in our engine. Okay, autopilot's coming off. I'm going to go ahead and dip the nose down just a little bit. Couple of things we should be able to try. Let me really quickly pull up the TBM 930 emergency checklist. Manual override control needs to go to full. No difference in torque. Oil pressure is down to 0. Acknowledging that master alarm. Let's go ahead and pull the nose up a little bit. I believe the minimum safe speed is 105. Yeah, I know, buddy. We're not going to be able to really have much for you here. Okay, I'm trying to just level out a little bit so we don't lose too much altitude right away. Let's go ahead and go into real quick. I did actually accidentally turn on my ELT for a second, I think. Let me hit my... We might wind up needing that. Where is my... I'm busy, my friend. I'm busy. Can we go ahead and force the... turn on the aux pump here? No difference. Let's go ahead and do a couple more degrees here of trim up. And let me force the starter. Pull back the engine to feather mode, I guess. Is that going to make a difference? We're getting no torque here whatsoever. Do I need to go to torque down to 0? I don't think I do. Manual override should be pulled back also if this does not work. We had a little bit of torque there for just a split second. Let's go ahead and do a couple things. Number one, I'm going to squelch our comms because I can't really tell them to leave us alone. In theory, we would be definitely calling a mayday right now. Now, in theory, we would be able to get some help from the ATC. Unfortunately, we're going to have to do this all on our own. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and pull back a little bit again. We're going to go back to flight idle. It's going to fuss at us about landing gear. That's fine. Let's do ignition on. Torque to 6. I didn't see anything change here. Prop RPM is going down. Nothing happening there. Flight going up. No difference. Okay. We'll raise the flight idle or the flight speed just a smidge here so we can stop with the landing gear warnings. Okay, emergency procedures. Manual override forward. Nothing changed, so we brought the manual override back. Flaps as needed. Maintain speed above 105 knots. We have throttle set to cut off. I'm not going to go full cut off because I'll get landing gear warnings for non-stop. Tank selector needs to go down to off. Acknowledging the master warning. Flaps will go to landing right before touchdown. Crash lever does have to go down before touchdown as well. Got it. Next up, over at the MFD, we're going to go ahead and go to nearest airport. We have a major airport, 39WN. We have a lot of altitude, though, so we have a good amount of distance here for miles. So I'm trying to look for a relatively large airport. Dwight Field, Toledo, Wincock, Carlson, Memorial. Let's see if we can do a direct to that. Activate direct. It's right below us. So we have a lot of airports, it seems like, in very close proximity. Down in front of us, if I can go ahead and pan. I forgot how to pan in my panic here. We've got KPDX. This is probably Portland. Yeah, this is probably Portland. Now, Portland is probably, assuming everything is good here, we need to nose up a bit. We're losing way too much altitude. We should be able to cruise at 105. This is where we would start looking at our flight envelope. Basically taking our weight and seeing what the proper cruise / angle of attack is to maintain the longest glide, basically, is what I'm looking for. We are 83 miles away. That is not going to happen. All right, back to the MFD. Nearest airport list. I would love to have one with an ILS approach. Let's go KKLS, Southwest Washington Regional. Sounds good to me. Let's go ahead and make a direct for that. Activating the direct symbol. That's going to be off to our right. Is that too far away? I can't see right now. We have 25,000 feet. I don't know the ranges here, actually. Come to think about it, I don't know the glide range of the TBM 930. Of course, if we were in a real emergency, we would have the assistance of air traffic control. I think we can make this airport in front of us here. I do believe. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into the MFD real quick. We are going to go on a bit of a right turn. We're going to change our flight plan. This is the only way I'm going to get this information to work. I'm going to remove our final waypoint. Destination is going to be changed to our new target, which was... Crap. I already lost it. MFD, nearest airport. We're going to... Survey says... I already lost it again. KTDO, no. Why can't I see what I'm going to? KCLS, no. Tell me, game. Tell me what I want to know. It's not even giving me the airport anymore. What a hot mess this is. Do we have the direct in here? We're not going to past. KPAE is not it either. Direct to KKLS. So we're going to KKLS in the flight plan. Good on the turn. Better on the descent. Okay, so KKLS is chosen. We are pretty much on the appropriate path right now. MFD procedures here, approach. We are coming in at a heading of roughly 19. And not approach. Oh, there are no landings here. There's no options for KKLS other than a manual VOR approach. That's fine. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up our radio. Nearest airport list, we'll use that. We would be able to pull this information off of our presets probably. In fact, I kind of wonder, would we be able to find this information out? God, I just hit the trim wheel like an idiot with my scroll wheel. Ooh, baby. That is a lot of effort to fix. God, I lost so much altitude just then. What a dumb move. I hit the scroll wheel right over our trim. All right. Nearest airport list. I think I was looking up our target here. Flight plan says it's KKLS. We're going to go ahead and go to waypoint info. Select airport is KK. KKK is KKLS. Frequencies here. We've got Seattle, Southwest Regional. I think this is actually the wrong info. I don't think this is going to be the radio itself. KKLS is going to be 122.8. Oh, I lied. This is actually perfectly correct. So 122.8 is traffic. This is an unmanned airport. Excellent. Just what we need for our emergency landing. Great. Can I pull this airport up? Let's see what the other info was. Sorry, KKLS. We have... What kind of runways do we have? 12 and 30. Okay, so 12 means we're going to have to basically make a left-hand turn into this runway. We're at 21,000 feet, so we've already lost 10,000 feet of altitude since this emergency began, but I think we've got enough glide to make this happen. I need to stretch this glide out a little bit more. Let's go ahead and select a runway for landing. It's going to be runway 12, full stop landing. And we're going to give our position.
Kilo Lima Sierra, traffic Odin 01215 miles northeast, flight level 215 inbound to land runway 12.
All right, so we have a pretty steady descent. Double checking that the train looks fine. Again, I'm trying to continually change my trim to get as close as I can to like a nice smooth descent. We're trying to trade our forward momentum for a little bit slower descent. I want to try to stretch this as far as I can. Although it does look like we're going to be fine in terms of arriving near the airport. It is before the major river here. Let's zoom in a little bit. on our map. I kind of wonder, do pilots keep like neat little emergency books of airports nearby? It looks like it's actually before a small bend. So we're going to be actually overshooting the runway. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a right-hand turn to about 270 degrees. Again, this is all done in the dark. Super fun. Oh, mega anxiety. Please don't crash the rented TBM. It's in the manual. It's in the rental guide too. Please don't crash our aircraft. All right, so coming up on 250. That's good enough for the moment. We don't have to do 270. Let's dip down a little bit. Look out our left wing. And we're a little bit forward, or sorry, the airport is a little bit forward of where we are. There is a runway. Is that our target runway? I think it is. It's a runway that's directly in front of a river bend. Yes. So our goal is to go across the river. We're going to go over this river and then turn back in. Got it. Do we have any kind of visual references here? So we're going to be coming in, and I'm going to cheat a little bit by going in third person because I could move myself around the cockpit normally. So when we're over the river and heading towards the open fields here, we're going to need to start our turn. Now, I'd rather be too high than too low, but we are really, really high right now. We're 190, super high up there. So we're going to have a very, very long approach. The nice thing, though, is we can come in from on high and then use our flaps to slow the aircraft down. Real quick, is there anything else I can do here about restarting the engine? Do we have any emergency restart options? This is all for landing. Okay, one more time. We're going to go ahead and change the fuel back. Tank selector, switch tanks. Aux BP switch. Check that it's correct. Aux BP is set to on. Manual selection on the fuel selection. Or on the tank selection, I should say. Remaining fuel. We do have fuel, so it's not a fuel leak issue. Still double checking where we are positionally. I believe we're directly over the river right now. So we have a little bit of a ways to go before we would need to turn. I think we're actually going to have to do a long turn to our right back towards the airport to scrub off a little bit more altitude. What else can we check here? Let's go ahead and go back to feather. Try to manually start ignition again. Nothing happening on the NG. Let's bring the NG up again. We're at 19, so no change in NG. What if we come all the way to the throttle cutoff? Hold ignition for 2 seconds again. 2. Nothing on NG again. Okay, we're not getting anything out of the engine. The engine is completely dead right now. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. We really don't have any air traffic control. However, we should still indicate to other pilots and anyone monitoring like Seattle Center that we have an emergency. So our transponder needs to go to 7700, which is the emergency frequency indicating that you are having an aircraft emergency. Hijack, I believe, is 7500. And, oh, what was the other option? There's the runway there back behind us to the left. Okay, so we are basically almost running a reciprocal course to the runway. 7600, I believe, is a comms emergency. We are having a heating problem. Sorry, an icing problem. So we're going to go ahead and turn the de-icing on. And we still have tons and tons of altitude. All right, I'm going to go ahead and scrub off some altitude here. We're going to do a pretty nice little turn. And I think we can basically come in steep. I like having, again, like I said, I like having more altitude than less. Is this too steep to make a dive, basically? I'd rather dive into this than not. God, this would have to be a pretty intense dive. I mean, nothing different than most of my flights. The danger is, if we miss this runway, we are super duper screwed. I think we're okay. Let's go ahead and put the plane into a nose down descent. The word descent feels a little bit more safe than dive. All right, so we're going to be going down at a pretty serious rate. We're going to go ahead and give the plane 1 notch of flaps first and trim to counteract the effects of the flaps. This is such a serious dive.
Landing gear.
2 degrees of flaps.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
The flaps are insane on this aircraft. You're basically able to hold yourself straight vertical.
Landing gear.
All right, so we're lined up with the runway. I think I'd actually rather just do a bit of a long left-hand turn to scrub off some altitude rather than dive all the way down to the runway. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pull out of this dive, this descent, I should say. And we're just going to do a nice 360, 30-degree turn to the left. During this time, we also would be briefing our passengers on emergency procedures. So basically, do not put your arms and legs outside of the aircraft until we are on the ground, my friends. When I yell the word brace, you're going to put your head between your knees, cover your head and your neck. Do not look up. If I had someone sentient in my co-pilot seat, I would probably have them working the radios at this point as I work my way through all of the possible emergency steps here. Flight idle, switch tanks, manual override controls. We've tried the manual override a few times here. I don't actually know what this does. Of course, flight lights are not set right, as per my usual. I like how On Air doesn't care. It's like, nope, your lights aren't on. Screw you. Left-hand turn, still continuing our turn, trying to get back at 120. Once we're on final, after probably actually when we're about a mile or 2 out, I will go ahead and deploy the landing gear. Again, trying to conserve as much altitude. So at this point, altitude turns into power. We do not have engine. So the only thing we can use for forward momentum is to basically convert our altitude into forward momentum. So we're going about 170 knots right now, 193 true airspeed, and we're going to be converting our altitude to power. So that basically prevents us from stalling. This is a much better approach, I think, a little bit smoother. We're still going to put ourselves into a pretty steep nose down descent, but I feel much more comfortable with this rather than coming on down like a freaking fighter bomber. 1 degree of flaps and correcting for that. There we go. Descending at about 4,500 feet per second. Let's go ahead and announce ourselves on final.
Kilo Lima Sierra traffic out in 012 is on final runway.
I'm
12
anxious.
to land.
I'm anxious. My hands are sweaty. Knees are weak. Something about spaghetti. All right, Southwest Washington Regional Airport. Regional airport that's not manned. Much appreciated, you jerks. We have 216 knots right now. That is really, really, really fast. Oh, one thing I should have checked. No, we already checked this. We already went through the waypoint information to see if there was any kind of ILS reading. But we do see that we are getting all white lights right now, which is indicating that we are coming in too high. That's fine. We can always bring our flaps down more, which I will here in just a little bit. We are 2 miles away. We are coming in like a bullet. This is fine. This is basically a normal glide in. However, we're going to be a little bit high, but it's a pretty long runway. Let's go ahead and go 2 degrees of flaps. It's going to drastically reduce our overall speed.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Waiting until our speed dips down a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the flaps. Keep a little bit of our airspeed. So we're at flaps 1. We're actually at flaps takeoff. There's the glide scope pickup. Trimming to fix a little bit. We're coming a little bit fast because I want to save some speed. All right, looks pretty good. I'm trimming the aircraft a little bit low. 1 more degree of flap here. This is not as long as a runway as I was hoping for. This is it. We got to put it down now. So I'm going to get dipped down, pull back a little bit, wait for the flaps to catch the wind. Gear is down.
Landing time logged.
Landing
Landed at Kilo
completed.
Lima
Gear down
Southwest
and heavy braking.
Washington RGNL.
Okay, that was a bit of an intense approach there at the last minute, but we are on the ground, friends. Our brakes are applied. We can safely exit the runway and call for, oh my god, number 1, a tow. And number 2, we're going to call for someone to deliver us some new pants. We'll pull off the runway here and contact some friends. But there we go, friends. Congratulations on our first emergency procedure flight. Complete and utter engine failure. How exciting and terrifying. Oh yeah, brace, brace, brace. And get the crap out of the aircraft. Go, go, go. Thanks for watching, friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next episode, we'll talk more about our on-air company. But for now, be happy that we survived this flight. Everything is okay. I guess it turns out that if you take an aircraft that's under 50% condition, you might have some problems. Please do remember that no passengers were harmed in the filming of this video. My pants are the only injury and casualty of this flight. Thanks, friends, for watching. Hope to catch you again in the next video. Until then, friends, take care.